All right, well, welcome to the January meeting of the FairTV Commission. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which if anyone would like to lead other than me, I'm more than happy to let you do it. If not, I can do
I
it.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. Thank you. So we'll begin with Chair's report. A couple notes. You probably saw in the manager's report, Jerry and I are going to meet tomorrow with the first select woman and her budget team to review the fiscal year 23-24 budget for FairTV. Just a thought on how that whole process works. As I understand it, the first select woman's budget will be presented to the Board of Selectmen on the 21st of February. And then there's kind of a long process of public hearings that are involved. The Board of Finance will take it up in March. The RTM takes it up in April. And then at some point around May 1st, I guess there's a final vote. And we'll be able to tell you more about that after our meeting. One other thing, since we're on Zoom, I was able to log back into the Fairfield Zoom account, but the multi-factor authentication is an issue for not just for the FairTV Commission, but others as well. So starting in February, we'll move to WebEx, and the new WebEx information will be on the public announcement for the February meeting, and you'll have all the stuff you need to know. So that is the extent of what I have to report. I somehow immediately forgetting who our officers are, but I don't think our vice chairman is not on the call, right? So there won't be a vice chairperson's report. Secretary is welcome to.
Hey, Mark, it's David.
Yep.
I'm the vice.
Oh,
chair.
hey, there you are.
Hi. Yeah, I'm on. I'm only calling in here. Yeah, I don't have any report, as you said. I just wanted to establish who I am.
Yep, great. Glad to see you, or at least hear you. And there is a place for a secretary's report, should the secretary have a report. And without one, we can entertain the motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. And I'll go ahead and make that motion. And somebody has to second it.
Second that.
And then all in favor? Aye. So that carries. That's fantastic. And we turn it over to Jerry for the manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. David, how are you? David stopped by an event this past week, a Board of Finance event that went on forever, but it was good to see him there. You got a little idea of what we do, especially in relation to, when we have to go out and do a remote shoot, basically. Well, they're all remote, really, but, outside our two regular purviews. So it was good to see him there, and moving right along. As you can see, with Mark mentioned about the budget process. In my packet, I did send out a copy of the proposed budget. I think I sent it out once before. Mark mentioned the process. Each body, of course, votes on the budget. Usually after the first select woman's the Board of Selectmen reviews it. In the past, we've gone before all the boards. We've been available to all the boards, but we've been fortunate. Our budget isn't that, complicated. And, but we are asking for a little more money this year than we have as far as incremental increases, about $12,000. It represents an increase in the manager's fee and creation of a part-time person more than just a bunch of freelancers to help with, our everyday needs and production needs. That individual it will be the archivist and the host, and also work as a production assistant, as well as kind of know the systems, be able to fill in on covering a shoot. But everything else is pretty much the same amount of money for our freelance producers, and web stream in the virtual desk, which is any additional hosts we may have to hire. Once the town gets it together with this new Zoom room concept, there'll be meetings in various locations. And from what I understand, and I might have mentioned this in the past, the expectation is that the chair or the secretary will basically be the camera operator for the fixed cameras that are in the room. I'm not so sure about that, but we will provide a host to basically monitor the meetings the virtually as we already do, which is really a function. By the way, I've noticed that there might be a little confusion on the town level with us handling this hosting work. It's sort of like us picking up a subcontract. It's not really a FairTV conception. We offered, because of the relationship, with the meetings and whatnot on the technology level, they asked us if we would do it. I said yes. We've been hobbling through it. WebEx is kind of a interesting beast in that our biggest problem has been people forgetting to sign out on the WebEx platform that we may have to use, in which case when we sign in, we don't sign in, we were like co-hosts or just a guest. So we've been having to work that problem out ever since the beginning, and it's gotten better. People are signing out more, and also WebEx is upgraded a few times since the town started using it, and people weren't always aware of those upgrades and operationally. But we provided the service for the most part. We did have a few glitches here and there, and not much we could have done about it. But we're still doing it, and we'll continue to do it, and we'll probably pick up this chore of our hosts acting as camera operators along with, hosting the virtual meeting. It's my design, hopefully, that we can locate all the production in one area, because it will be virtual and we won't necessarily have to be in the room. And we will basically publish the virtual event with our standard treatment of, listing the agenda items in the lower thirds and, front and back slates and that sort of thing that make it a little more of an event. Now, I've actually put up this week a TPZ meeting and a special meeting, joint meeting with the Parks and Rec and the three main town boards, as if we were doing what we're being asked to do. So they look a lot different than our normal television production, but they're not bad, they don't have. I purposely didn't do lower thirds. I haven't gotten any feedback from anybody like, "Hey, what happened to the lower thirds?" or that sort of thing. And I don't know if any of you folks have. I don't know if anybody in town hall has. I think I would have heard about it. So it was sort of a discreet test to see how the public who does watch FairTV would respond to that type of a format, as the FairTV format. and unless and until I hear anything different or whatever, that's probably how we will proceed. It will consolidate our efforts. We won't have to go chasing all over town, that sort of thing. The host will be on site, and our production team will be like in a room with with other operators, depending on what's happening, because we may expand our complement as well. I mean, if it's easy enough to do, we probably will be able to cover a few more meetings than we do already. Let's see what else is on my sheet here. David, Mark, we had to pick up some equipment this month. We bought a mixer to accommodate the remote work that we are doing at the moment at the fire training center. And also, depending on how this shakes out, the new mixer will accommodate larger meetings. We had a couple of 4-channel mixers that I couldn't gang together, so I needed something that would have a little more capacity. We bought a printer because we've been using the town's printers located in the IT office, but the IT office will be moving upstairs. I don't know what exactly this position is going to be for FairTV down in the offices that we're in at the moment once they're vacated by IT. I have expressed the desire for at least a bigger room because I'm kind of running out of space. And also, it wouldn't be a bad idea if we could set up a little interview studio down there in one of the spaces, but we'll see what the town is willing to let us have access to. Let's see. Oh, yes, and we're also getting one of our TriCasters. It needed some repair, and in the past, we've had several TriCasters over the past 12 years. I think we've had, but well, including what we've had a total of about 9 of them, maybe 10. And the first batch, of course, went completely obsolete, but the second batch, which is a little more rudimentary machine, but a real workhorse, and will work well with, future production. It needed some repair, and I sent it to a shop down in Virginia that I do buy hardware from, and also does repair these since NewTek doesn't support the machines that we have, although this guy is a qualified technician, and he repairs. The machine I sent was a TriCaster 40V. He upgrades them all the time for people because they are such reliable machines. So as you can see in the notes, it was a total of about $1,600 into some hardware for the month. Also, just as a note, I am preparing our Cable Advisory Council Area 2 grant, in which I'm going to buy a complete set of hardware, backup hardware for our broadcast hub. This is converters and encoders, that sort of thing, that support our receiving and transmitting our content. It's not a huge amount of money. There might be a couple other things, maybe an additional camera, I'm not sure. But at this point, that's and I will, of course, submit to the commission my choices, my grant request, and for you guys to approve. I think we did talk about this once before, but before I send it off, I will want to give you another look at it. And then finally, we've had a little cache of money left over from our grant process over the years, and I did pay for the hardware that I mentioned out of that money. But there's some additional funds left over, and the idea is to bring our producers together, and as well as myself, and do some training on this new piece of new TriCaster that we purchased, It's at 410 plus. I did a typo there. It said 440, but it's a 410 plus. It's SDI. We have to, because of our relationship with the cable companies and the signal that they'll process, we have to constantly look for what I call hybrid equipment, which essentially steps down from HD. We convert our signal for the web stream up to HD, but what we send out to the cable companies is what's called a SD signal, which is a lower end signal, 720 by 480. But I plan to set up this training session for early May. And that's basically what I'm up to. Any questions?
It's a lot.
Hello?
I said that's a lot. You've got a lot going on.
Well, you know, it's always something going on at FairTV.
Hey, Jerry, has there been any kind of way to track viewership along these different streams that we have? You know, you have the sort of the digital,
with YouTube, we can
cable.
With YouTube and our VOD site, I can usually get an idea about views. With the cable companies, they will not release that information. They consider it proprietary. With the web stream, we do get information, hits from that. Let me say this. FairTV is not HBO. So, depending on the topic of a particular meeting, we can get a large audience based upon either our web stream numbers or our video on demand numbers. And by large numbers, I mean about maybe, Board of Ed and Board of Finance are usually our biggest, we have the most participation. And over a month, like I say, depending on, like the budget hearings will be well attended for us, which means we'll probably get maybe 100 hits on, the live video stream. We'll probably get a couple of hundred views from VOD on any particular budget meeting. But ordinarily, the Board of Ed probably gets the most consistent viewership. Now, I kind of base our viewership numbers the same way that Nielsen extrapolates their surveys. One participant in Nielsen represents 1,000 households. I don't really think that's the case with us, but I would offer that one viewer represents information that goes out to maybe 50 households or individuals in, not necessarily through direct viewership, but conversation, or even just, comments back to, town hall about something. But that's basically the best I can extrapolate from the numbers that we get. So if we get 100 views on the video on demand, I figure at least 500 people, have talked about it. And that's the function of the government and education channels covering the meetings, is disseminating information. It's not whether or not they liked it or, are we going to do a sequel or whatever. But, people, it generates conversation from the information that we provide. And that's about the best I can do with that thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
And that's anything else?
Anyone?
Yeah, Jerry, I have a question. So
Sure.
when you're speaking about, you said that the Board of Ed had the most interest, most consistent interest. So like, what are the numbers for that? Because you just gave example numbers for the budget hearings. But could you,
Well, the recent kerfuffle, I mean, there's, I guess it just depends. I mean, like I said, there's always something controversial with the Board of Ed, whether it be a mathtorium or whatever. They recently had a whole bunch of issues about the advanced AP math, I think, is one of these programs, or special needs. There's always a huge conversation about the cost of that, and people pay attention to that. I've seen numbers as much as 300 views on our video on demand site for Board of Ed meetings. On average, I would say at least 40 to 50 views on the VOD. And as far as live from the stream, I would say, yeah, I've seen them in the hundreds, and again, not necessarily about a budget meeting, a budget issue. I could prepare something, an overview for a couple of weeks on, various elements, various meetings.
I think that would be
If you'd
interesting.
like.
I don't think that, there's nothing particularly urgent about it. I don't want to take you away from anything else that you need to do, but I think that'd be interesting for us to have sort of a sense of what's happening. And I know Board of Ed is going to take up redistricting, and there'll be no shortage of viewers for that.
Absolutely. And there's been a couple, there's always seems as though every month there's something that comes up. There was a whole issue with the Muslim community in regards to holidays, and that not only brought a lot of people into the actual room, but it did get a lot of eyes on it as for us anyway. In its various other platforms. So, but if you go to our video on demand site, I think you can usually see, in the information, how many people have viewed an item on our YouTube locations. FairTV Government, VOD, and
Yep.
FairTV Education. And that you can get to those sites by just Google, going to YouTube, or you can go to the town website, our page on the town website, and we have direct links to both of those locations.
that's great, Jerry. Thank you.
Great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you guys have some thoughts about how to increase viewership or whatever, let me know. Be happy to see what we can do about it.
I think what might be interesting, obviously there's a sort of a public service and you can't really put too much into, popularity, but one thing that we may want to pay attention to is where people are, how they're accessing it, and, and how that may affect sort of decisions that are made as far as equipment.
As we all know, the whole technology, people are cutting the cord, all that kind of stuff, getting away from TV or cable or whatever. Bottom line is that the cable companies will always be in the business of presenting whatever they want to present, just different platforms. And part of that deal is our federal, they're federally charged to support public access, So they have to include it in some way, shape, or form. I think at the last meeting I discussed, some legislation that's going on up in Hartford in regards to having the PEG access fee attached to internet service. There's also going all the way back to when we first got our first bit of money through the state legislature. They wanted to have us come back and see how we were doing, by us. I mean, the towns in cable area too that were involved in the legislation, and all of the towns, of course, have expanded their productions and platforms, and they do have participation in their communities, and do well by the funding, and also with this legislation that was up recently, although they tabled it. They didn't really. They sort of did this. They decided not to do it, but they did want to survey the PEG community in regards to, what do we want to offer. I haven't received any survey yet, and this discussion took place back in October, so I don't know how, aggressive they are on following up on that particular item. But it was part of the conversation, and I believe part of tabling it to find out, just what the need would be if in truth putting a PEG fee on internet service meant something, because people watch us virtually and whatnot, so we're on the internet and that kind of thing. So the correlation is there. But I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to get that through.
Well, see what happens if that ever happens. I know that one's been crawling around for a while.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jerry. Did we have any other unfinished business that I'm thinking of? No. Well, we can open it up to new business.
Well, I think, I don't know if this is old business or new business, but I do think that we need to find out what's happening with Anne Marie. She's the one commissioner who's missing, right? Because
Yep.
Will and Anne Marie came in at the same time.
Right. How many meetings, Will, has that been for you? 2? Is this 3 or?
I think this is 3. I think we started
Okay, so,
November, December, and then Jan.
yeah. Okay. So I will send her an email after the meeting and copy you guys on it, and sort of see if we can get a sense of how things are going.
Great,
And
thanks, Mark.
whether that needs to be something we take up at the next meeting or not.
It's kind of a shame, because I was hoping Anne Marie might help us with our, social media and whatnot, because of her, she mentioned that she has, some writing skills and whatnot. I thought maybe that might be helpful that way, but there you go. I'm hoping that if we do get our budget, that the part-time person can pick up that chore.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, well, I will skip over good of the order, because I still, even almost a year and a half into being on the commission, I'm still unclear as to what that means. But if there is no other items, we can entertain a motion to close the meeting. All right, I'll second it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that passes, and we will see everybody in February with a report on this meeting tomorrow that we have. And Jerry, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon.